Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, let me start out today by apologizing for coming on just a little bit later. We had a couple of technical difficulties, not really on our side. I suspect that we're actually reaching enough of you dregs, deplorables, and whatever you might want to label yourself today, that they're beginning to censor us a little bit. And before we go any further, I have to talk to my man in the back and let him know that I cannot see myself on the monitor. So it's okay. We're here, we're live. That's the dangers of live. There we go. Hey, I can see myself. Hopefully you could see me, or maybe you're better off. Maybe I'm better off in, I don't know about blackface, but blacked out. I don't, who knows? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the word for today, and some of you may not understand this word, but I'll explain it to you and then more will be revealed. The word of the day, or the phrase of the day, is dat. D-A-T, dat. And I know I'm not talking about a piece of data or datum. I'm talking about like who dat. Like my shout out to the new people in New Orleans and Louisiana. They know what I'm talking about. Now that word originally started from the old vaudeville days, and there would be pitching and catching back about who dat and who day and all that. And then, of course, it became like famous across the United States when the Saints actually said, who dat gonna beat them Saints? And so I give a little tip of the hat to my good friends out in New Orleans, man. I really love it. But so my first article of the day comes to you from the Israeli Times, and it's about the election results in Israel last night. And my little subtitle is, who dat? Who dat say they're going to beat BB? Who dat? Hey, they didn't beat him. Bibi Netanyahu won, man. He won. The headline here is Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu clinched a clear victory early Wednesday morning in Israel's general election, with some 97% of the votes in Tuesday's contest counted, and I believe it's 100% now. Just imagine that. They can count 100% and we can't even get. I guess they had no hanging chads. His Likud party was tied with blue and white. That was the opposition party. But his right-wing, I love how they described it, his right-wing ultra-Orthodox bloc held a decisive lead, and Netanyahu was thus safely en route to forming a majority governing coalition. Well, I don't know about all the different parties. I'll be honest with you. I know some about it. I've not explored all of them. I know that there's like 40 different parties in Israel. 40 different ones that participate in this election. Now, if you want to know where the true freedom, true liberty is in the Middle East, and why I've said before, there really cannot be a two-state solution, it's Israel. If you're a person out there and you want to practice your faith, if you want to practice the Muslim faith, for instance, in total freedom, you don't need to be in Iraq or Iran, death to America. You need to be in Israel. That's where you need to. So you Palestinians need to wake up and realize that the best thing you could do is try to become productive citizens in Israel. But 40 different parties, think about that. All of them competing, some of them with crazy whacked out ideas, some of them not. But I know one thing about it. Anytime you mention the word that national, you want to put your country first, like Brexit people, like in Israel, and certainly here, if you're part of the MAGA agenda, you're a radical. You're a right-wing hate-mongering group, right? I mean, that's just the way to say. So hatred won out, I suppose, in Israel. No, I don't think it's that way at all. I got a friend of mine. I let him remain anonymous. I've talked about him on the show. Maybe one day I'll get him on the show. He's an Israeli national, American citizen now. Much of his family is still in Israel, and he goes back and forth at least once a year over there, sometimes more. And we texted each other this morning, and because I told him BB wins, and he texted me back, another win for Trump. And he's right. He's absolutely right, because Donald Trump had an influence on this election. Do not kid yourself. And my friend told me that when he was recently in Israel about 6 months ago, that basically there was like MAGA everything over there, and Netanyahu was essentially trying to portray himself as a good friend of the MAGA agenda, and people even had make Israel great again hats on and everything else. So congratulations to Benjamin Netanyahu. Congratulations to the people of Israel. Congratulations, really, to people who are about freedom and liberty all over the world, because it won once again in Israel. So, you know, we'll keep you posted about that and the ongoings, but it looks pretty clear now that Benjamin Netanyahu will now be the record breaker as the longest serving prime minister in the history of Israel, and I applaud him and the people of Israel for that decision. I think you made a wise one. All right, we're going to move on. This next story comes to you from Rasmussen, the polling company. And, you know, think about Rasmussen. One thing that they never talk about much, that go back to the 2016 presidential election, it was Rasmussen was the most accurate poll of all of them. Now, all of them had their share of inaccuracies, but Rasmussen was the one that pretty much got it right. So my title to this is You Best Believe That. You best believe that. And this is coming from Rasmussen. The Rasmussen Report's daily presidential tracking poll for Tuesday shows that 53% of likely U.S. voters approve of President Donald J. Trump's job performance. So yes, not only is Donald Trump still your president, but he's more popular than ever. 45%, and to be fair, disapprove. And I'm wondering why, who they? You know, why would you disapprove? I mean, are you upset because people are being removed from the welfare ranks? Not by just moving their name. They actually got a job and they're doing something. Are you upset about that? But think about this. President Trump, man, has been called everything but a child of God, right? And I'm channeling my inner Mark Twain, because I haven't said this in a while, but if you're new to the show, and welcome to it, go directly to my Facebook page, by the way, John Martin Talks, and like it and share it with others, because you'll see not only the show, but we comment on articles, we produce memes, all of that kind of stuff. So welcome to the show. But if you want to know a little bit about me, one way I describe myself, besides the red man that's been in the sun too much, is I'm a little bit John Wayne, a little bit Mark Twain, and a little bit Duck Dynasty. So I'm going to channel a little of my inner Mark Twain when it comes to President Trump. The rumors of my death are greatly exaggerated. So the rumors that the Trump presidency is over, because the Mueller report, of course, and we're going to talk more about that in a minute, has come out, is greatly exaggerated. President Trump, when people begin to take the blinders off, and this is one of the things that I think is a consequence of the Mueller report and the ridiculousness of the Democrats, and we're going to get in depth about that in just a moment. But it has exposed them to the point that some people are looking at it and go, you know, maybe I should take a fresh look at Donald Trump. Maybe I should actually look at this guy not based on what my preconceived notions or what the media spin is, but what the man has actually done. And if you take an honest assessment of what President Trump has actually done, I don't see how you can't, if you believe in America first, if you believe in making America great again, forget whether you like the man himself, but what he's actually done, I don't see how you can really quarrel with it. America is clearly stronger, more prosperous, more free than it was before he got there. I can tell you that right now. Next story. So first of all, congratulations to President Trump for hitting the 53% mark, and keep on going. Thumbs up, maybe. Promises made, promises kept, and he is being rewarded for it. And so are we. The next story comes to you from Politico. Sometimes I read these stories and look at TV programs and stuff, so you don't have to. It's part of my public service. But my little subtitle of this is, You Deserve That. House Democrats cancel vote on budget plan amid internal revolt, according to Politico. House Democratic leaders on Tuesday abandoned plans to vote on a key budget measure this week in the face of sharp opposition from both progressives and moderates. And they're talking about progressives and moderates within their own party. Republicans are an afterthought right now for the Nancy Pelosi. She's got the power. She's got the power, and she doesn't care about the Republicans at all. So this story is all about the Democrats. But I like it says opposition from both progressive and moderates. Moderates. Are there really any Democratic moderate leadership? Now, I'm not talking about the Democratic rank and file members of the party. So if you're a Democrat out there, welcome to the show. My idea, I mean, I am for President Trump, and I am a registered Republican. And I will tell you that. But I used to be a Democrat. There's a lot of members of my family and friends that still are Democrats. And I wish, I'm not trying to encourage people necessarily to leave the Democratic Party. I haven't said this in a while. But of course, if I say it, it bears repeating. What I really want you to do is take that party back over. You got a lot of work because the leaders of your party are hardcore leftists. There's a couple of them right there, man. They're hardcore leftists. The argument in this article, as you will see, is about who is the furthest to the left and thus the most righteous. It's not about America, what's best for America. That's not it. It's what's best for the progressive agenda. So I ask again, are there any moderates out there? I think old Comrade Bill de Blasio, the current mayor of New York, he said something about this a while back. Did he not? Can we play that?
By the way, when it comes to the 2020 Democratic nomination process, centrists need not apply.
Centrists need not apply. So moderate centrist, another word for it. He was on Bill Maher's show, and he was basically saying that if you're going to run for president on the Democratic ticket, moderate centrist persona non grata. You need not apply. I mean, I've told you these progressives, one thing about it, man, you don't have to guess what they're about or what they're saying. President Trump has emboldened them to the point, and I would say exposed them, that they will tell you, if you listen, they will tell you exactly what is on their mind. And in this case, if you're a moderate, there's no room for you running for president, but probably no room for you in the party itself. And that's one of the reasons why I left. The revolt over legislation, back to the article, set forth federal spending is a setback for Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Doesn't your heart bleed for her? And her deputies on the eve of their 100-day mark in the majority. So we've been suffering under the tyranny of their majority for 100 days. Seems like 1,000, doesn't it? And it darkens the outlook for how Washington will resolve a slew of ugly funding battles later this year. Like I say, don't you feel sorry for Nancy? I mean, what she's dealing with. Poor little old Nancy. I mean, there's a picture out there. If we got this picture I call Poor Nancy, because it kind of shows what. Look at that. Poor little old Nancy. Look at what she is going through. She's got AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Talibi, who is coming. Actually, she's coming to the University of Florida. We're going to report on that when the time comes. But Nancy, man, poor gal. She ran off. She got reelected to speaker again. And she, everything was going to be peaches and cream. And it turns out that these little old rascals in the back, the young rat pups, just won't stay in line. I got a side note for you here. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it's about Ilhan Omar. She's in the news quite a bit lately. And she was at a fundraiser for CARE, which is the Council for American Islamic Relations, CARE. She was doing a fundraiser for them, and she talked about 9/11 in a way, I have to say, I have not heard anyone talk about it, so I'll give her that. Can we play that video? Check this out. She goes in the back, the young... All right, we're having a couple little technical difficulties, but let me just tell you this before we play this video. Ilhan Omar is a terrorist. There's no question about it. Now, I might get censored for saying this. One thing about me, I'm not politically correct. I call it as I see it. I say who they, who dat. She is a terrorist, and the reason I say this is because, about the walks like a duck, acts like a duck, is a duck, man. She is supported by terrorist organizations like Hamas. She supports that same terrorist organization. Because CARE was founded by Hamas, understand that. She raises money for Hamas, a terrorist organization, and Hamas gives her money. So if you're supporting terrorists, if they're supporting you, you're raising money for them, and they're giving money to you, it's a duck, man. It's a terrorist. Let's play this video because I'm going to tell you one more time. I have not heard anyone speak about 9/11 like this. And I got to tell you, not much shocks me these days, but this was shocking. Let's play it.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
Somebody did something. So you got 3 jets, 2 of which crashed into, actually 4, I guess. You got 3 that crashed into the towers, the Twin Towers, a 3rd one that hit the Pentagon, and a 4th one that they say was coming towards the Capitol, but some patriotic Americans said, let's roll, and took that sucker down into the field in Pennsylvania. What great patriots they were, and the lives that were lost. Over 3,000 Americans, or people in America, were killed on that day, of all walks of life, all colors, all faiths, all religion. The worst sneak attack in the history of our country since Pearl Harbor. But it was, she describes, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I would rather her get up there and go, you know, some righteous, religious people attacked us and sugarcoat the terrorists. I'd rather her sugarcoat the terrorists, or just say, you know, the warriors of Islam attacked us and that kind of, I'd rather have, but to say that somebody did something, to me, it's beyond insulting. It's even insulting, I hate to say this because people take it the wrong way, it's insulting to the terrorists. Somebody did something. I mean, they're religious fanatics. Not just somebody did something. I mean, give me a break, man. This gal, you know, to me, even what she's doing is much worse than even what Ocasio-Cortez, because I think Ocasio-Cortez is probably a decent person. She's just misguided. This chick right here, man, is evil. Yeah, that's white bread's got to die.
Generations of people, older people, who were born and bred and marinated in it, in that prejudice and racism, and they just have to die.
So you and I have to die, but you know,
yeah,
Omar.
You know, you know what it sounds like? It sounds almost like, and by the way, that's Jay, my producer in the back, and this is Billy Bob Bass, my psychic sidekick, if you're just tuning in. He keeps me straight on the show. He has a Twitter handle, by the way. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talk. So we're a couple of Twitter twats. If you want to get into a twat war with us, come on down the line. But Ilhan Omar, man, I mean, I hate to put it down to this level, but it's almost like a kid. Somebody did something, you know, who broke the lamp? I don't know, you know. I mean, she trivializes the death of Americans, and she's in our house. She's in the people's house. They've elected her to Congress. My God, man. I mean, when I think about this woman and some of the others, you know, I kid about it, but it really does make you fear for the future. If this is our future, then we are in a world of trouble. I just wanted you to see that video. It's unbelievable. Maybe we'll post it up on our Facebook site probably later on and talk about it a little bit. But back to the article. Democrats decided to punt a vote on the budget bill after both corners of their caucus, the Congressional Progressive Caucus and the moderate Blue Dog Coalition, warned they had enough muscle to tank the bill on the floor if they didn't get their way. The Blue Dog Coalition, well, who they? Who they? There used to be one. You know, there's a picture, getting back to my New Orleans friend, there's a very famous artist out there, and there's a picture. Now, people pay literally millions for these pictures, or these portraits. I'm not sure exactly why, but they do. But there you go. There's the Blue Dog Democrat in the middle of the swamp, about to get eaten by the gators. So if there are any Blue Dog Democrats left out there, I don't think there are, then they're running for cover because they are in the middle of the swamp and they're going to be eaten by the gators in the swamp. Chomp, chomp, baby. I'm a UF graduate, so I'll give a shout out to that. Congratulations, by the way, to the Virginia Cavaliers. I didn't say this yesterday. They won the national champion. Be interested if they attend the White House, if they get invited. I mean, I just hope they vote right in Virginia. That's what I really hope. But anyway, congratulations to you. Do us all a favor now. Celebrate by voting the right way. Leaders of the 90-member Progressive Caucus walked away from talks Tuesday elated, saying they'd prove their power within the House Democratic Caucus for the first time in the new majority. The Progressive Caucus, it's like they got separate. They got a Progressive Caucus? I mean, the whole Democratic Party is the Progressive Caucus now. Essentially, they're arguing over who, it's like NASCAR drivers arguing over who turns left the quickest. I mean, these people are like, look at the presidential field for the 2020 nomination, man. They are just trying to leapfrog over. You think that's, I mean, wait till the debates, man. If you want a reason to live, wait till the debates. I mean, if you're into politics at all, and I'm assuming you probably are, then it is going to be pretty much some fun. But the Progressive Party caucus, the caucus, I guess, chairman, Pamela Jayapal, like PayPal, but Jayapal, she's a piece of work, by the way. We haven't really talked much about her, but you want to look up somebody who is just as nutty and perhaps even more dangerous than some of those others we talked about. She's from Washington, the state of Washington. She says this is a big victory in that it became clear that without real strong progressive inclusion into the process of the bill, we're not going to be able to get there. She says we have to make sure our priorities are taken into account. So they have to make sure that progressive priorities are taken into the account, that we won. We're the reason that the blue wave, if it actually happened, is we made that blue ripple, blue wave, whatever. So I had to ask myself, what exactly are the priorities they're talking about? Because we know they're not principles. They're priorities. Like, is it your priority, the Green New Deal? So you want to make your party become not only the jackass party, but the jackasses on jackass party? I mean, like I've been saying before, but as I say, if I say it, it bears repeating. The first question at the first Democratic debate should be, are you for the Green New Deal? And if they say yes, then the next question would be, well, how did you get here? How did you get to Iowa? Did you ride a jackass? Did you pedal a bike? And what did you do? And it better be a wooden bike. Because if you rode on a fast train or slow plane or something in between, I mean, then you're just hypocritical. So I've labeled them the jackasses on jackasses. So what else is their priority? Is it making babies comfortable? I'm thinking about that, because they said they make baby. Now that sounds good. We're going to make the baby comfortable until...
I can tell you exactly
there you go.
What would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother.
That's what their priorities are? To kill the babies? Make them comfortable? How about reparations, man? Is that what we're all about? Is that what we're going? We're going, like I said yesterday, check out our show by going to johnmartintalks.tv, John Martin Talks Facebook page, like it and share it with those, or John Martin Talks YouTube channel, and you can see all of our shows, all of John Martin. But I talked about reparations in depth yesterday, and I speculated, how does Obama fit into reparations? I mean, his mama is Lily White, Kansas. She's from Kansas. She's about as white bread as they could get, God rest her soul. And his daddy never was a slave and is from Kenya. So even though he's, quote, the first black president, he ain't going to get paid. So he may not be for reparations because, Obama loves money, man. But a separate thing on that reparations deal and stuff, you want to talk about a person of color that really shone brightly yesterday. And we're not going to get in depth about it, but check out the video of Candace Owens from Turning Point USA, who testified before Congress yesterday about white supremacy and all this. I'm telling you, man, if you want to look up to somebody, if you're looking for a young person, if you're a person of color looking for a person of color to look up to, Candace Owens fits that bill, man. She put those old white dudes and everybody else in their place. And so I would encourage you to check it out. Back to the story. House Budget Committee Chairman John Yarmuth, Democrat from Kentucky, who has been leading negotiations, said it wasn't the ultimate defeat, talking about the fact that they couldn't agree on a budget. They probably just couldn't agree on how big about money to spend and where to spend it. Says that's coming in 20. He says it wasn't the ultimate defeat. Now, what I say to that, and I tell Mr. Yarmuth, Mr. John Yarmuth, don't worry, sir. That ultimate defeat is coming. It's coming. If people like Citizens for Trump out there, if you get on board and do what you say you're going to do, it's coming. If Handcuffs for Hillary, this is another Facebook site we're on. If you do what you need to do, it's coming. And our newest group, Deplorable Resistance, if you guys get on board, if you MAGA hat wearing sons of guns actually get out there and do what we're supposed to, because don't mistake, President Trump is doing his job. The question is, are we going to do our job? Because we kind of slacked off in 2018, right? Are we going to do our job in 2020 and clean house? Are we going to punish, and you Democrats out there, yeah, the best way to take over your party is to punish all of those, which is pretty much every one of them, that put us through this 2-year witch hunt called the Mueller report. So President Trump's doing his job. He's making America great again, keeping America great again, putting America first. Hey, Mr. Yarmouth, it's coming. It's coming. I got a feeling it's coming. That ultimate defeat you worried about is coming. Bipartisan talks on avoiding the sequester cuts got underway earlier on Tuesday. Pelosi spoke with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell around noon about how they could find a way to reach a broader agreement to give federal agencies a budget boost before the 11th hour. So I can see the meeting right now. Some swamp dwellers. So you got Captain Turtlehead, otherwise known as Mitch McConnell. You ever look? I got a turtle poking out. I mean, that's what he looks like to me. Our Queen Rat, Nancy Pelosi, she's undisputed. I mean, there's like Princess Rat and all, Ocasio-Cortez, but Pelosi is still the Queen Rat. So Turtlehead and Queen Rat meet in the swamp. All is well. Nothing to worry about. You know they got the best interests of you taxpayers at heart. Mitch McConnell, come on. The guy's been there for like, you know, I mean, wasn't he the witness at Cain when he killed Abel? I think he was like the character witness or something like that. I mean, that guy's been there forever, man. And, of course, Nancy Pelosi pretty much speaks for herself. So we're in great hands. We're in great hands. Nothing to worry about here. Still, the Democrat stumble comes at an inopportune time for the caucus. One day, and this is really a shame, man, one day before lawmakers head to their annual retreat to celebrate their first 100 days in power and strategize on their agenda going forward. So they're planning on basically going like the Club Med or Paradise or, you know, what they did, that retreat they did in Puerto Rico where they're helping the hurricane victims by hanging out and putting suntan lotion on bikini gals. That's what they were doing. But the annual retreat, and let me just be, in fairness to them, both sides do this kind of thing. The annual retreat, and maybe I'm overstating it, but how much can you say out of touch? How much out of touch can you be that you're worried about how this is going to affect? You're talking about the budget of the great United States of America, and you're worried about how it's going to impact the annual retreat. You're not going to be able to limber, you know, but so much. I don't know, man. It's just our politics.
Get them out.
The whole thing needs to be flushed out, man. It just needs to be put around the bowl and down the hole. The whole bunch needs to be flushed. I know there'd be some good people going, but if we could get rid of, if I could cast one vote, and it would be to get rid of all of them, even though some of my friends would go, I believe I would push that. And some of my friends would probably push it with me because that's why they're friends. They know that thing.
Are you black-pilled now, John?
Yeah, am I black-pilled, he asked me. You know, I still have, you know why I'm not, Jay? That's an interesting question. The reason why I'm not is because of groups like I just mentioned, you know, Deplorable Resistance and Citizens for Trump and Handcuffs for Hillary and the people that are like, and we're about to go over the 10,000 followers mark on John Martin Talks. Please help us, and won't you help us? For 19, you don't have to give me the 19 cents, just like it and push it over the top. But it's because of people like that, and quite frankly, some of the young people that are working here with us at John Martin Talks and Excluded, like you, Jay, be honest with you, that's the reason why I'm not black-pilled. I still hold out hope for the future, and that's why, by the way, I do this show. I battle ignorance and apathy daily here because I still believe that the rumors of our death are greatly exaggerated. You know, I do believe that there's hopes, and here's one of the purposes of my show, and you people need to lean in and get this. I want us to man the political ramparts so we don't have to man the real ones again, because that price has already been paid. We don't need to pay it again. And so that's kind of how I look at it. And not everybody can be a fighter. We here at John Martin Talks are fighters. But what we really need is supporters, and we appreciate all the support we're getting to keep doing it. Double down, invite somebody else.
As Monty Python said.
Yeah.
You shall not have died in vain. I'm not quite dead, sir.
Yeah, I'm not quite dead yet. I may look like I need a nurse, but Hey, it's not. It's
Nurse!
Nurse! Some people always tell me, somebody said, he looks redder every day, and I'm going to be redder next week because I'm going fishing again this week. I mean, you know, screw it. I'm going fishing. I mean, that's one reason I keep saying sometimes is I just go, hey, once I get out on the boat, I decouple and refresh, and I'm back to pound it again the next day. Senior Democratic aides weren't insistent or were insistent that they could have secured the vote, so they could have got it done if they needed to, but Pelosi and House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer decided to avoid unnecessary arm twisting. So they didn't want to go in there and twist their arms, man. Do you really believe that Nancy Pelosi has to twist anybody's arm? I mean, all she got to do is like, look around. I mean, please, I'm with you. I'll do it. Just don't look, Yeah. I mean, it's like kind of like that video that Trump made of Biden where he's like Biden on Biden, like. I mean, can you see Nancy Pelosi? She's sticking her head around the corner. You go, ah! And it'd be like those commercials on the Final Four where the person's like locked in the Cobra thing.
Well, it's more like Medusa. They're just afraid if she looks at them wrong, they're going to turn to plastic.
Oh, she is plastic face, by the way, man. Which when they were talking about washing her out, if the blue wave did, I was afraid she'd be out there and I'd be out there fishing and seeing that old plastic face floating by. I'm like,
straight up pollution. That won't go away for 100 years.
Never, man. Nuclear. But this week, Jayapal, not to be accused of PayPal, although she probably wants your money, and her co-chief, I wonder if he's Mark Pocon. I wonder if he's any kin to Elizabeth Warren. Democrat Wisconsin said they were ready to deploy the full weight of their 90-member group to reject the legislation, which they said favors the Pentagon over domestic programs. So, translation, if they're worried about their budget favoring the defense of the nation versus the freebies. I mean, that's basically what it is. Democratic Party giving it to you for nothing. And you'll feel it for sure. The Blue Dogs and other fiscal hawks, I didn't know there were Blue Dogs and fiscal hawks in the Democratic Party, in the party argued that progressives should be the ones to help pass the bill because those votes won't hurt them back home. This is very important. This you want to know. This is swamp stuff here, buddy. Many moderate, vulnerable incumbents, on the other hand, were already loath to vote for a bill that increases spending. So they're showing their true colors. All they're worried about, it has nothing to do with the merits of the bill. They're just worried about how it's going to affect them, whether or not they're going to be able to hold on. They're showing their true colors. And there's rhinos on the right that feel the same way. It's not about you, the American people. It's about what's in their best interest. We need to round the bowl down the hole. Flush them now, baby. Unfortunately, the administration clearly, this is Hoyer, Steny Hoyer, man. What a paragon of virtue this dude is. Unfortunately, the administration clearly, talking about Trump, is not very interested in coming to a responsible agreement on a cap to spending, like they ever want to cap spending. If we're going to get an agreement, he said, we need an agreement between the House, the Senate, and the President, the Maryland Democratic added. He said, that's the reality. Reality? Reality. We need to, here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. Let me give you the reality. We need to, these are my words, not the articles. I want to make sure I get them clear. We need to survive until 2020. When we have a chance, to have, to see if we still have the sand of our forefathers, the truck nuts, so to speak, of our forefathers. Because let me say, who that? Who that? They're the ones that made America great. They're the ones that paid the price for us. I kind of see myself as this person who has in touch with the founders, the greatness to stand on giants, crossing this bridge. It goes back way to the people that are just looking at the cell phone. That's all they're doing. And they wonder who that. Well, they're the ones that made America what it is. And the question really is, the reality really is, are we worthy? Are we a nation worth fighting for? Are we going to man the political ramparts? Because they man the real ones. And there's some still doing it out there. Tips our hat to our men and women of first responders and service vets all over the country, all over the world, literally. I mean, that's the question. The reality is, are we going to do our part? Because I honestly believe that we don't really have many more chances. I don't know how many chances we got, but it can't be many more. All right, we're going to move on. Let me check my time. We're doing all right. This is coming to you from NBC News. Now, there's a reliable source, right? And my subtitle is this, is that about time, man. It be about time. I tell you, Barr reviewing the conduct of FBI's 2016 probe of Trump team Russia contacts. Attorney General William Barr said Tuesday that he is reviewing the conduct of the FBI's Russia probe during the summer of 2016 and that the Department of Justice Inspector General will release a report on the FBI's use of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act process and other matters in the Russia case in May or June. So basically what he's saying is he's a bit suspect, imagine that, a bit suspect of how the whole Mueller investigation, FISA court, the PP dossier, all that stuff. He's a bit suspect of the insurance policy that stroke and struck, or paid stroke and struck, went back and forth. He's a bit suspect of it, and he wants to see how it actually happens. Because I say, if true, and we got a picture that I'm hoping is true, if true, that's the greatest saying the Democrats come. If true, because then you can say anything, right? I'm hoping that just like this picture, that it has actually begun. That this is the dominoes are going to fall and we're going to see the real investigation, which includes a real witch hunt, by the way, for Hillary Clinton, right? Hey, I'm with you. I'm still kind of, you know, I believe it when I sees it, so to speak, but I am hopeful. I am hopeful. I'm reviewing, this is what Mr. Barr, Robert Barr, I think his name. He said,
we'd have a problem if his name was Bill.
Bill, yeah. They got way too many bills up there. I am reviewing the conduct of the investigation and trying to get my arms around all the aspects of the counterintelligence investigation. That's an important word. More about that in a minute. That was conducted during the summer of 2016, Barr said before the House Appropriations Subcommittee. Counterintelligence investigation. That word that he used is extremely important because the investigation into Trump and all is a counterintelligence investigation. It was not a criminal investigation. It never was. It was a counterintelligence investigation. Let me tell you, there's a very specific definition of what that is supposed to be. Counterintelligence investigations are conducted to prove or disprove an allegation of espionage, other intelligence activities such as sabotage, assassination, or other national security crimes conducted by or on the behalf of a foreign government, organization, or person of international terrorists. I'm not going to read that again. Look it up yourself. But it means that, well, here's what it doesn't mean. It doesn't have anything to do with Stormy Daniels. It doesn't really have anything to do with Paul Manafort and tax evasion and all that. It is whether or not someone is actually colluding with a government to conduct espionage on the United States of America. That is what they went to the FISA court with. That was what the PP dossier and all that started all this was. Total lies paid for by Hillary Clinton. All this needs to absolutely be investigated because this thing, even though it's come out now after 2 years, and yes, it has exonerated the president. I hate to use snowflakes to see it. It has done that. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. But this idea that it was a counterintelligence report investigation is extremely important because what it turned into was everything but that. The remarks came as the Attorney General. I'm going to take me a little break here. This is my, I want you on my side of the wall coffee cup. Got little Donald Trump there, and he's a nice guy, man. Get to know him. The remarks came as the Attorney General faced a barrage of tough questions from this subcommittee, this House Appropriations Committee subcommittee. Now, he was there to talk about the budget of the Department of Justice. But do you think they had any questions about that? No. No. But it says here that while Barr's opening statement before the House Appropriations Subcommittee, which oversees funding for the Commerce and Justice Department and Science Age, Space Force, we need to focus on the 2020 budget request for his department. That's what he was there to testify, but of course he was prepared. Lawmakers on the Democratic side of the committee pressed him on the Mueller report. They're just suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. He's already said publicly, and he said in this committee, that within a week or so he's going to have the report out there, and we're going to talk more about that in a second. But the Democrats, man, we got to have it now. We got to see it. They got to keep this thing going. They have to. And this testimony he gave before this committee, man, it has got the Democrats, I hate to say it, but they look like fools. Subcommittee Chairman Representative Jose Serrano, Democrat from New York, in his own opening statement, I love how these opening statements, said the panel could not hold this hearing without mentioning the elephant in the room, talking about the Mueller report. So it's about the budget. It's supposed to have nothing to do with this Mueller report, but we can't talk about what we're here. We can't do what the committee's supposed to do, in other words, their job, unless we bring up the Mueller report. Why? Because it's all politics for them. He goes on to say, the American people have been left with many unanswered questions, serious concerns about the process by which you formulated your letter, and uncertainty about when we can expect to see the full report. He went on to say, I think it would strike a serious blow to our system and, yes, to our democracy if that report is not fully seen. Who this, man? Who does this guy think he is? I mean, I guess he thinks he's the emperor. He's just elected from one district in New York, but he's sitting there singing. He's like he's talking for the American people. Do you think the American, they already know, they have known for a while that this is bullshit. That's what they've known. And President Trump finally just came out and said it, right? But the idiocy. Yeah, we can play it.
The Democrats have to now decide whether they will continue defrauding the public with ridiculous bullshit.
Amen. They have already decided. I hate to answer your question. They've already decided, President Trump, and yeah, they decided on the side of ridiculous bullshit. That is their stand. Our party stands on ridiculous bullshit. I mean, that's like their new mantra, man. But Representative Nita Lowry, Democrat from New York, another New Yorker, chairman of the full Appropriations Committee, not the subcommittee, but the full committee, said in her opening statement, now, we really got to wait. What's her opening? It's got to be powerful, right? Opening statement that Barr's handling of the Mueller report had been unacceptable. Unacceptable, adding that the speed of Barr's summary of the lengthy document was more suspicious than impressive. It sounds like some self-reflection there, because she's a bit more suspicious than impressive. But Barr, man, I was suspect of whether this guy was going to be, and the jury's still a little bit out on him, but I got to say, so far, that man has stood up there. He knows a swamp rat when he sees one. I guess because he probably is one. But Barr defended his handling of the document, listing several areas that he believes should be redacted, including grand jury information that the intelligence community believes would reveal sources and methods. So he wants to make sure that secrets aren't revealed. Information in the report that could interfere with ongoing prosecutions. So if there's criminal stuff down the line, it could be. And information, here's the most important one, I think, and information that implicates the privacy or reputational interests of peripheral players who were there is a decision not to charge them. In other words, people who were innocent. Imagine that. Innocent and until proven guilty. What's that mean, man? Innocent. With Kavanaugh here, guilty. You got to go. It's kind of like the if you're a Star Trek fan, the Cardassian. I'm not the Cardassian. They're like Kardashians. They're not quite as good. The Cardassians. They have their trial. You're guilty. You're automatically guilty. If you're charged, you're guilty. And then they basically, what they do, these aliens, they basically say that the only thing we're here to determine is for you to admit your guilt and what the ultimate punishment. There is no innocent. Once you're charged, you're guilty. And that actually is real in the real world. Like death to America, the Iranians, that's how they look at it. But this concept of innocent until proven guilty seems to have escaped the Democratic Party. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And it gets to the core foundation of our country, the U.S. Constitution. Because if you have to prove, think about this, ladies and gentlemen, if you have to prove you're innocent to the state, then we're done. I don't know what we'll become, but we're not going to be the United States of America. So Barr is basically saying that we're going to redact things. If someone was not charged with a crime, we're not going to have them in the report. Because Do you really believe that the Democrats would go, well, we've had principles. We're not going to violate them. We're not going to mention Joe Smith over here, but if your name is in that report, buddy, it is coming out, man. That's the way, and it probably still will. They'll find some way to steal it and come out. The Attorney General said that Mueller is working with him and his team through the process and that they will color code the redacted areas in the report and provide explanatory notes describing the basis of each redaction. So they're working together. Barr said he was working with Mueller to get this report right, so they could say it's a conspiracy. It's got to be a conspiracy. Remember when they were like protecting? We got to protect the Mueller report. Now they don't really want to see it. They just want to have the issue. It's a conspiracy because when it comes out and it's all a big nothing burger, what are they going to do, man? But Barr went on to say, he said that his original timetable still stands to release the report by mid-April. From my standpoint, within a week, I will be in a position to release the report to the public. Sounds reasonable, right? But Lowry, not to be undone, expressed incredulity with Barr was able to fully digest the Mueller report and compile a summary of it in 48 hours. So she's basically saying, I don't see how you could have, done this thing in 48 hours. How you get that letter? Who these fools are, man. Because Barr, she said, it seems your mind must have already been made up, she said. So she basically accused him of being Comey, right? But Barr, man, you got to give this dude credit. He responded that the thinking of the special counsel was not a mystery to the people of the Department of Justice prior to its submission. In other words, he wasn't just sitting there going like, I am the head of the Department of Justice. I do actually know what they're investigating, and just because I hadn't leaked it to the media like you would be, just because I have integrity and I'm doing my job, that's what you got to know. That's what he was thinking. He said he had been interacting, and he and his people were interacting with the Deputy Attorney General. So basically, and I'm going to put words in Mr. Barr's mouth. I know he would never be as crude as Captain Whitebread, but Captain Whitebread is just, I is what I is, as Popeye said. I'm just going to tell it like it is. And sometimes I have to, translate this stuff. He's basically saying that we, Madam Representative, have known for 2 years now that this was a pile of chicken shit. That's what it was. You're the only one that thought it was salad. You're the only one that thought that. That's what he was thinking. I guarantee it, man. As they say, I guarantee it. Asked whether Mueller or anyone on his team reviewed Barr's summary of the report in advance, Barr said that Mueller's team did not play a role in drafting that document and that he did give Mueller, because these people are fools, man. Barr, he says he did give Mueller a chance. He said, do you want to review this letter of the summary of your report before I sent it out? And he said that Mueller declined. Now, it was further than that. This article doesn't really do it justice, because what Barr actually said was, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, he said that Mueller had faith in him, that these guys have known each other for a while, that he had faith in him that he would do his job. So in other words, he said the man has principles. What day? What does that mean? No wonder the Democrats are confused, because they're dealing with a man in Barr that actually has principles and has the facts on his side and reason. That's why the Democrats are like baffled about this, because they got their facts are bullshit. They're not reasonable because they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, and they got no principles. So how can they possibly deal with a guy like Barr? And like I said about Candace Owens, go back, and as a side note, go back and look at that video of her testimony before a whole different bunch of fools, and you'll see when you got the facts on your side, when you standing on principle, and you have integrity, the Democrats don't know how to. The only thing they can do about that is call you some name. That's the only thing they can do. That's it. But all right, so, the Democrats are looking at this and saying, what do we do now? What do we do now? And they're going to get real desperate. So if you think they have not yet begun to fight the desperate battle they're going to be fighting. If you think it's getting crazy now, wait till this next year unfolds and the next few months. And especially if you do your job out there and we re-elect Donald J. Trump and push these rats back to the sewer they need to be in, they're going to, I mean, whew, it's going to be fun to watch. Now, next article comes to you from, let me check my time. I got a few minutes to cover this one. It's kind of long, but I'll make it short. This comes to you from the LA Times, which when you see is hard to believe. So my subtitle for this is, they don't care about that. Show me the money, baby. Show me the money. Sacramento wants to tax, Sacramento, the capital of California. Sacramento wants to tax soda, tires, guns, water, pain pills, lawyers, car batteries, and et cetera, et cetera. They want to tax everything. From the LA Times. To plagiarize, it says here in this article, T.S. Eliot, April is the cruelest month, but not for the reasons the poet wrote, rather for all the taxes. The LA Times, man, is running a story about high taxes. Heaven forbid. And it goes on to say, and then there are bills in the legislature to make taxes sting even worse. But we need to build that wall around California. Don't bring that stuff. Make those people stay there. I used to have a chant when we were beating a team like in football, when we had our glory days here at University of Florida. I used to go to all the road games. I loved to be in the road games. And one of the chants I would be, we'd beating the hell out of them under Steve Spurrier, and they'd be leaving. I'd be, make them stay! Make them stay! Don't let them out! Close the gate! Make them witness this ass whipping! Make them stay! Well, that's what they need to do in California. You need to stay there and suffer the consequences of your votes, because you voted these yahoos in. It's a perfect storm for millions of Californians because of the federal tax overhaul enacted called the SALT tax. Basically, they're all upset because, same thing in New York, that these big high tax liberal states, the people are now seeing what they're really paying. They're not able to deduct tens of thousands of dollars on their federal income tax, just like, you know, everybody else. And they're seeing the consequences of their actions, and they don't like it. But LA Times actually calls California a high-tax state, man. LA Times, that's right. So, but then they go on, they recover here, so they blame that tax shaft on Trump and the Republicans. Man, for a while there, I was getting verklempt here, man. Back to normal. So they blamed it on Trump, But in California under Democrats, it's tax, 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 a drip, a drop, nickel, a dime, all the time. That's a political statement. It's a fact. It's not a political statement. It's a fact. This is the LA Times, man. I'm like, what is going on here, man? Let me check my timeline. I got a few more minutes. But it says here now, they're back. See, they go, man, they're like schizophrenic. They're saying, not all taxes are evil. Some are justified, but many are unwarranted, and others are eye rollers. Unwarranted. Is that possible in California? A tax. Can you imagine any Democrat standing up and saying, that tax is unwarranted? I can't imagine they would be that, right? Here's an eye roller, a bill that would authorize San Francisco to turn its crooked Lombard Street, that's that famous one, into a toll road. They want to charge you for driving down their street and taking pictures of tourist attractions. They want to toll you. Maybe even requiring reservations. Hey, I got a party of 3 to drive down the road. They think they have a traffic jam now, according to LA Times. Wait till the weekends. Wait until cars are lined up behind the toll gate. So I got to thinking about this, man. You know, I'm always trying to help. And this goes back to like making the baby comfortable and all that. If we're going to toll gate like this road, why don't we have a uterus gate? In other words, a toll gate in a woman's uterus. Why don't we just have it and just, you know, don't worry about making that baby come. Just tax him when he comes out. Right? You got to, I don't know how you would do it, but you got to pay tax because you already owe tax when you're born, right? So maybe they just need to have a uterine tax where they just slap the mama around. Your baby's comfortable over here. We're deciding whether to kill it, but you got to pay the tax first. If you want to have the abortion and kill this future taxpayer, then we got to have the money up front. I don't know. I get these crazy thoughts sometimes. There are a whole bunch of taxing ideas in the Capitol, I imagine that, on tires, firearms, water, prescription painkillers, lawyers, car batteries, corporations based on their CEO pay estimates, more than $3.5 million, oil and gas extract. The list goes on. Okay, got a soundbite.
We keep you alive to serve this ship. So row well and live.
We keep you alive to pay these taxes. So pay these taxes and live, man. The California Tax Foundation has counted more than $6.2 billion worth of tax increase proposals pending in the legislature. I'm telling you, if that were to happen in Florida, they'd burn the Capitol down, man. We've been cutting taxes here, thanks to Republicans. It expects the figure to grow substantially as the bills are amended with details. Details? They're irrelevant, man. The money's irrelevant. Resistance is futile, man. I'm telling you, better get the hell out. Build that wall, man. Polls show that California voters already think they're overtaxed. No surprise there. Yes, it's a surprise to me. Think about it. That's one thing about progressives. One of the things you got about progressives, they have to believe polar opposite things. In other words, they're taxed too high, but they voted for Hillary Clinton. So, it's insane. They keep doing the same thing over and expecting different results. I'm going to scroll down here. Okay, it says children. They're talking about children. Children are consuming over 30 gallons of sugary drinks, so they want to tax sugary drinks. They want to tax it by the ounce, by the way. And the sponsors, about half of all adults and 2/3 of youth consume a sugary drink every day. So I'd say just make them comfortable. Meanwhile, here's the part I love. Meanwhile, there's a legislative proposal to lower the marijuana tax. We want more potheads but fewer soft drink sippers, according to the LA Times. Man. California, man, they just wanted to be a mushroom generation. You sit in the corner, feeding you bullshit, keep you in the dark, and pay your taxes. And if we really want to hear from you, we'll go from mushroom to the gerbil nation, and we'll get a rise out of you. And that's all they want out there. But there is no tax that they're not willing to put on these people. I feel for you, California, but you got to stay and pay the price for the vote. If you do leave, don't bring that nonsense here. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the show today as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. I hope you will go directly to John Martin Talks, like it, share it with others. We really need that. Push us over that 10,000 mark. Welcome to all our new listeners. I hope you find it a treat. I guarantee you won't get this perspective anywhere else. And like I say every day, and it comes from my heart to yours, have a blessed day.